Most people play games. I've spent years breaking them. Let's look at the 3 types of genres that aren't afraid to let you fail. In my last video, we talked about how modern mainstream games won't shut the hell up and let you think. How the corporate shield uses tutorials and yellow paint to make sure you never ever get stuck. But today, we're going to talk about some of my favorite game genres and why they flip the script when it comes to how hard they can be without being too punishing. Today, we're breaking down 3 distinct flavors of modern punishment. The ones I absolutely love, the one that almost made me throw my console out the window, and the one that is so perfectly paced you can't even be mad when you die. Let's start with my absolute favorite types, roguelikes. I will sit and play a good roguelike and just completely lose myself in it for hours. For a 90s kid like me, this genre is a great example of that old school arcade DNA, but instead of being an unfair cash grab designed to steal your quarters, the difficulty is used as a legitimate gameplay mechanic. Let's look at a game like Balatro. This game perfectly married poker with the roguelike scaling. I never thought a combo like this in the roguelike genre would ever work so well and be so addictive. Another one of my favorites is The Binding of Isaac. With its infinite bizarre item combinations, the whole aesthetic kept me hooked for months. The magic of a true roguelike comes down to 3 things: procedural generated levels, insane variety, and permadeath. Every time you die, you start back at square one with absolutely nothing. Want to know what testing a roguelike looks like compared to a static game? There's an insane level of work that actually goes into testing roguelikes, and I fucking love it. I love testing this genre. In the early stages, finding bugs is easy and not too exciting, but as I near launch, sometimes years into a project, the game is so polished that any visual issues like clipping or Z fighting, we ignore that shit. It might get fixed, but now it's about the consistency. It's about making sure there are no major bugs like crashes, skill tree issues, or combat issues, but most importantly, it's the flow of the levels. With them being procedural, randomly stitching rooms, items, and enemies together on the fly, I still have to run through the levels over and over and over, making sure no major bugs occur and that the system remains randomly stable. But here's a real inside tip. When I test a game like this, I get the entire roadmap. I know all the levels. They are randomly generated when played, but when I read the info I'm given, I see all the levels. That's how I'm able to test a game like this. I test the procedural generation system by simply playing the game. Then I test the levels as I get them. So in the end, I know every level of an intensely difficult roguelike, but because of the procedural generation, I can't know the order I'm going to get the levels in. So, if you've ever wondered if a developer just hands me a map and says, make sure the player can't jump out of bounds here, actually, yeah, they do just hand me a map. Then I test all the layers of the game, making sure all the systems run and play nice together. When the procedural generation is working as intended, then it's a chaotic yet exciting challenge that I gladly take on. I love knowing that I helped make a game the best I could before it's out of my hands. Now, as a casual observer, that sounds frustrating, I know. But as a tester, I see the brilliant logic behind it. Because the levels change every time, you can't just memorize your way to win. You have to rely on your gained knowledge and your ability to adapt on the fly. Because you're not grinding for permanent stat upgrades, you're the one leveling up in real life. Death isn't a penalty that stops your progress, death is the progress. It's the ultimate figured out genre. And it's the best example of replay value, and I can't get enough of it. Speaking of replay value though, if you're finding some value in this video, consider hitting that like and subscribe button. It helps the channel out a lot. We have on the other side of the difficulty tracks, the genre everyone compares to roguelikes, even though they couldn't be more different. Soulslikes. You know, games like Dark Souls or Bloodborne. From a tester's perspective, I highly respect the design. The interconnected worlds, the deliberate stamina-based combat, the sparse checkpoints, it's brilliant world building, and they are amazing games. But as a gamer, I'm not a fan at all. I am so bad at them, it makes me want to cry. Bloodborne almost made me throw my PlayStation across the room. I was dying so brutally over and over again that I generally started thinking I was a huge scrub. My tester brain was going insane, trying to figure out what I was doing wrong because I knew I was doing something terribly wrong. But what the hell was it? Alright, story time. I was so lost, I died to a werewolf, woke up outside, collected some weapons, then interacted with a tombstone that brought me right back to where I died, found the werewolf again, died again, repeated this a few hundred more times without any difference. Are you fucking kidding me? I was getting absolutely cooked by the freaking tutorial area. I hadn't even started the actual game yet. After this, I never touched Bloodborne ever again. True story. Which makes me want to ask you guys, what's the most embarrassing game tutorial or starting area that absolutely cooked you before you even started? Because unlike roguelikes, where death feels like a fresh roll of the dice, Soulslikes are rigid. They demand absolute perfection and strict pattern recognition in a fixed space. It's a sick genre for people who love that specific level of punishment, but for me, it gets me so pissed off, it breaks me. Pattern recognition? Forget about it. I'm so mad I can't even remember my name. Moments like that, I need to step away, and that's fine. I'm all about not giving up, but knowing yourself is important too. Don't play a game just because everyone else is or because it's popular. Play it because it makes you feel good and you enjoy it. If a game brings out parts of you that you don't like, that game might not be for you, and that's totally fine. Not all games are made for everyone. So if you had to pick one flavor of punishment to play for the next month, are you locking in for the chaos of a roguelike, the rigid perfection of a Soulslike, or the twitch-reflex grind of a run-and-gun platformer? Because that brings me to the third pillar of modern difficulty, and another genre I absolutely adore, the run-and-gun platformer. I'm going to use Cuphead as my example because I absolutely love this game. It's tough as nails, but it isn't a roguelike and it definitely is not a Soulslike. It's a pure, unadulterated run-and-gun platformer mixed with a healthy dose of bullet chaos. And its difficulty is a masterclass in game design. Most of the game is just pure boss battles with dense, overwhelming patterns of projectiles, precision jumping, and exact timing for parries and dashes. You only have 3 HP and there are 0 checkpoints mid-fight. Make a mistake at the very end of the phase, boom, back to the literal beginning of the match. But here's why a game like Cuphead works for me and a game like Bloodborne totally breaks me. It's completely 100% the pacing, not the quality. Cuphead lets me get right back into the action in 2 seconds, where Bloodborne makes me sit through a loading screen, run past respawn enemies, and manage a stamina bar. It's the friction that breaks me. So to clarify, I don't hate these games. All the Souls games are great and they're beautiful. It's just not the difficulty that I want to deal with when I'm just trying to enjoy a game. See, with Cuphead, the controls are incredibly responsive. The enemy attacks are flawlessly telegraphed, not that they aren't in Souls. There is no random bad luck, and there is no clunky delay. When you die in Cuphead, and you'll die a lot, you never feel cheated. You know exactly what mistake you made the second you make it. It brings back that arcade-style twitch-reflex challenge that I grew up and fell in love with, but balances it so perfectly that every single death feels like a direct lesson rather than a punishment. As a tester, I look at how a game kicks my ass. So, what's a game where the difficulty felt 100% fair to you, and what's one that felt like pure, unfiltered bullshit? Whether it's the chaotic adaptability of roguelikes, the punishing, deliberate grind of a Souls-like, or the razor-sharp precision of a run-and-gun platformer, creators are proving that players still want to be challenged. We still want to earn our victories. What's a popular, highly rated game you finally had to walk away from because it just wasn't worth the unneeded stress? Drop it in the comments. Remember, I can't tell you where I've been, but I can tell you what I've learned. Have a good one, gamers, and I'll see you in the next one.